We learned Frederick's name, and it's very inspired. You don't want to miss this week's episode of the Indie Ball Report podcast. We're back again, episode number 225 of the Indie Ball Report podcast. I'm Nick. I got a squatter on my show now. He's probably going to be here for a couple months, but it's all right. He's like the guy that couch surfs throughout college. So it's all right. You know, he's entertaining. He brings limericks and other things like that, right? You do limericks, right?
I'm living in your walls, Poppy. I don't know what a limerick is.
It's like an Irish rhyme.
Yeah, I can kind of riddle off like a number of dirty limericks off the top of my head just from like, I believe Sean Connery's character on Celebrity Jeopardy back in the day. But other than that, I'm kind of light on the limerick thing.
Oh.
Do I give off the energy of an English major, my man?
Well, at one point in time, we did have an English major on this show, so.
At one point in time, LPRoundup.com actually had written articles, but then I was like,
I wish I could say the same thing because we do technically have articles on the website, and I plugged them still, IndieBallReport.com, articles tab, but I think the last one came up in April, and the one before that was like December, maybe? I don't know. Any case.
I know I'm going to get back into it in the off season because I have a ton of content ideas ready to rock. It's just I need the time to do it, which last off season I did not. Now I actually do.
Oh, the lies we tell ourselves.
Oh no, this definitely time this off season because I don't plan on moving anywhere this off season.
Well, when you get a job with the Huntington team, that will definitely come sooner than later. We'll see if you're saying the same thing. And also now, everybody that listens to this show, all 100 and plus of you, you can go over and blame Ryan when he doesn't write articles in December.
It's called accountability.
Exactly. So we're going to hold you accountable. No. And I'm just going to retweet. I'm going to dig through, like, I guess it'd be 6 months worth of tweets in the middle of December and quote tweet it and tag you in it. You're going to be confused and you're going to be like, what I say here that got me in trouble. And then you're going to go about 3 minutes into the show and go, oh, writing articles.
Yeah, that's about, you can do it. We'll see. I'm open to all things.
All right. Well,
I'm kind of all over the board when it comes to what my motivations are. It's usually verbal abuse. Sometimes it's a copious amount of baked goods. I'm kind of all over the board.
Oh, see,
Turning 30 has been weird for me.
Oh, that's good. And also, I just want to point out here, because some Midwesterners, I think, took offense to me calling it flyover country.
I can't imagine.
Threatened me with the violence of ears of corn. So that was new. That was different. So out of respect for you, we're not going to refer to you as flyover country anymore. It's Elvis country. So in keeping with that spirit and that theme, we have to talk about Frederick's new name because they ain't nothing but a ghost hound. And
nice.
Yeah. So that's talking about Frederick now. And they have a new name. They're not Frederick even. They're Spire City, an inspired name, some would say. And they are the ghost hounds. There is still no general consensus on the abbreviation. And, the name goes back to an urban legend of a blue phantom dog that wanders the streets of Spire City, aka Frederick, and it is the product of a Name the Team contest. And immediate thoughts on that as I drop part of my chair on the floor.
Part of your chair? Dear Lord, all right. I'll just vamp. I like it. I do. I think we discussed it. I'm not sure it was the best of the options, but I think it was a very good option. I think it was good. It's grown on me a little bit. I didn't like the logo immediately. Now I'm kind of warmed up to it. It does stand out a little bit, and I'm not 100% sure it's in a good way.
It's the colors, isn't it?
I think. What was that?
It's the colors that really got you.
Oh yeah, because I was awkwardly complimenting the colors like publicly, and then I realized, oh, they're my colors. I'm such an idiot. So that happened, but I don't know. I think it's okay. So the good for me is I like the fact that it's definitely a little bit different. It's got a vibe to it. Anything with a dog is going to do well on merch as long as you have half a brain.
Cujo dog.
I have a weird thing about, I don't love logos where the name is like just at the bottom of it.
Okay.
Gastonia is like that too, where it's like the logo and then like almost separated from the logo is the writing. Like, I'm not talking about the Dirty Birds, how like it kind of curves around the bottom. That's not what I mean. I just mean where it's like the logo and then underneath it, it says like Spire City Ghost Hounds or Gastonia Honey Hunters. I don't like that much. It feels like you made a logo and then you're like, oh, and then we'll just put the name under it. Felt like an afterthought. So that's one I don't love. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a good rebrand. I will say at this point, I think it's a good rebrand.
Yeah,
those white jerseys are not good though. I don't like.
Wait, those are the ones that just say Ghost Hounds on it.
Yeah, I was like, don't know. Why would you go with that? Because then they were the teal ones the next day, and they were sick. Loved them.
Oh yeah, the teal works better because that's the Spire City ones, right?
I believe so. Yeah, because the white ones are the Ghost Town ones.
Yeah, which again, like, I understand baseball is you got your whites, like your home white jerseys. That's a thing. I totally get it. And I understand that white's probably a cheaper color to get because it's more common. But I feel like, especially in the case of Spire City, because of the shades of blue and teal they have, I feel like cream would have worked way better than white would have.
Honestly, right now, the teal ones do say Ghost Towns.
Oh.
So that's interesting. I'm like, wait, what are they wearing? They do have a
Spire City jersey, I know, because I seen them wearing it.
Yeah. I'm trying to see if I can get any like pictures of what they're wearing tonight. They're in Lexington, so who knows what the hell they've got going on.
It's a well-dressed matchup there.
Tough scene. Anyway, to the point at hand, I do think it's a good rebrand. There isn't much content of the jerseys. It looks like they are wearing teal jerseys. I would assume they're the same ones that we saw previously.
Which I just had a thought.
A little bit odd.
If you wanted to see the jerseys, couldn't you have gone to the Spire City website, went to the merch shop, and then just looked at jerseys for sale?
I'm not sure. Do they have any yet?
They may. I honestly don't know, because some websites are better than others. You know, some are well ran, and then others are like Kane County's website.
Could this be our worst start to the podcast ever? Just mostly talking about not even the topic at hand, just straight to the side, not knowing the.
For those,
is that on the store? Is that? Oh, so you're talking about the road replicas. I see that.
Yeah.
I understand what you're talking about. The Spire City jersey is not bad. I like the combined eye thing. I like the spooky candle vibe on the eyes. I like that in all their logo writing with the Spire City thing. I like a little candle flame as the dot on the eye. Cool. Because of the Ghost Tours thing, if nobody put that together.
Good. I was confused.
But the teal, I don't know. I don't know where it's at exactly.
Imagine coming to this show for serious baseball discussion.
I mean, it is branding and marketing content. It's just like disorganized. Because if I'm honest, I didn't think that we'd be doing a breakdown of the jerseys right away, and I
didn't think we were doing that either. So
that's on me. Hey man, if you don't like this, you can cut it and send it to me, and I'll figure out something to do.
Oh no, we're gonna leave.
I'll make it a TikTok. I'll dance during it.
I can just see it now. Ryan just flossing as we're discussing jerseys and branding and marketing on the independent league level at 7 after 11 at night.
Yeah, it's not well adjusted. To summarize. Logo is good. Parts of it are very good. Some of the jerseys, they range from, I would say the road jersey is good. The home jersey is bad. The alternate jersey is very good. The mascot, I didn't love.
So on.
Yeah, it is just like a dog in a costume.
Very Paw Patrol-like.
Yeah, I mean, named it Freddy. I get not wanting to make him spooky, but it's kind of weird that he's not at all spooky. Like he's a hound, but not a ghost. What are we doing?
Why can't we just like give him the Charlie Brown ghost costume?
Yeah, right?
Like, we can do that. Yeah, and, like, so I get why they're calling him Freddy, because Frederick. But, like, at the same time, like, it's just really funny to call, like, a mascot dog Freddy.
Yeah, and also, like, they got rid of, like, the Frederick in the name, which I said on Twitter, I do think that is, like, the next frontier of how you name these teams. But I think it's funny though that they got rid of Frederick in the name and then like put Freddy in the mascot. Like, no, it's still there, just the mascot.
Yeah, honestly, I like that. I think it's a creative way to keep like the city name in the team still.
I'm not mad at it. I just thought it just made me laugh.
Yeah, no, I like it. I like how they did that. And I think I'm kind of on the same wavelength as you are with it, where like I saw everybody fawning over it at first and I was like, I gotta be missing something here, right? Cause like, it's not bad. It just wasn't really moving the needle overly for me. Now, I think that's partially cause I'm not like the hugest fan of that kind of grandiose style of design, on top of the fact where I totally get it. Like, I'm not saying this where as though I don't understand why logos are designed this way, because I get it. It's supposed to be family friendly and all like that. But I'm not the hugest fan of making a overly childish or overly kind of cartoony looking logo. I like a logo that's, you know, somewhat realistic looking. Like, for example, like Fargo's logo, where like obviously a little cartoony, but it's still a fairly realistic looking hawk, you know? Like designs like that. Lincoln's another one where I like it. It's a realistic looking dog. And I don't quite know the origin of Salt Dog for that, but whatever. Like there's ones like that where, again, I understand why if you're like Evansville or if you're Charleston or now Spire City, you go that route. I totally get it. But at the same point in time, I'm not really the biggest fan of it, but I'm also not the target audience for it either. So like, I get it.
Yeah. I guess, yeah, I agree with your grandiose take on that. I think the thing that we can agree on is, thankfully, they didn't go with Sawbones or something weird like that.
Oh, God. Sawbones. I think we both agree that Sawbones was the worst.
Yes. And I will say Frederick should consider doing the Screaming Alpacas because it's like loosely, all right, it connects to the farming community down there, but they're like, what they describe it, there's a number of alpaca breeders. I'm like, okay, probably not enough to name a baseball team after it. But like you could definitely bring them back for like a weekend where you like auction some jerseys and it goes to like local farmers. That's a vibe.
Oh, like, it's absolutely, like I was saying, like it's a 4-H day type of thing all the way. Like it has such ag fair vibes to it where like honestly, if you do have like an ag fair in town that's coming through, that's 100% the weekend you do that. Which again, like, yeah,
I agree.
Alpacas are just such a random thing to have a lot of in one area too. Like it's just such a random animal.
That is also very true. I was waiting for someone to do the fainting goats at some point. That's a different conversation. I will say the rollout was very good. They had a very good kickoff video for it. Like the execution was really nicely done. Yeah, I'll agree with that too. And also, I mean, I would have liked to see what would have happened if it didn't rain last Friday and they would have been able to get that game in. But considering they had to just kind of be like, hey, we're going to pull a Charleston on you and do it in between games, it came out very, very nice. Yeah, it was well done. Yeah, and I respect the turnaround too by the stadium staff too. They got the turnaround to get the new merch out there pretty quick too. Yeah, they did it well. Yeah, so I got to give them credit for that. But circling back to the point that you're making about city like nickname rebrands, because I do think that's an interesting conversation to have briefly, being that we're like 20 minutes into news. But I do want to at the very least spend some time on it. If I got to cut out nonsense, I got to cut it out. But I think it's interesting because we've talked a lot, especially about New Jersey going all in on the Silk City thing. I think that you are onto something there with that's the next evolution because it's different, but still somewhat grounded. And it does seem to have a positive reception. It resonates with a local base and it differentiates itself from just the standard here. And I don't think there's too many brands realistically across independent ball that either have that kind of storied tradition or have it ingrained enough to where you have to use the local name on it, which I think is interesting, particularly in the Jackals case, because they do have 25 years with New Jersey Jackals as the brand. So it is an interesting position to be in because if you do have 25 years of name recognition built up, that's no small feat, obviously. But at the same time, Silk City Threads is sitting right there. I mean, like, you got to take advantage of that. Yeah, I agree. And I think, too, I think it's just a good way. Like, you can add a lot of flavor to a name. Like, I don't know, like, Spire City has such a cooler vibe than just like Frederick. And I don't dislike Frederick, by the way. I've said on the record before, I like the Frederick Keys name. I like everything about their brand. The only thing I really don't necessarily like about the Frederick brand is like I think they've gotten sort of a new logo for themselves, and I think was kind of not the energy, but that's a bias. Yeah, they do. And it's not even new. It's an older one. But full disclosure, I grew up a Carolina League fan, watching a lot of Wilmington Blue Rocks games, so I didn't. I grew up with like the old Keys logos. I like that a lot. But I would say, like, I think without, I think there's only so many creative ways you can go without getting into like weird screaming alpacas territory. Yeah. And I think by being able to find a good and relevant Keys name connecting to a city or even a region, I think you can really do it a lot better. Like, I think like Rocky Mountain Vibes isn't a bad RNG too. I think they did well.
True.
What was there was another one I was thinking. Oh, it's I've always kicked around. I feel like Southern Maryland isn't a great one. I feel like they could probably do well rebrand to like Chesapeake something.
Or even Charles County Crabs works.
Yeah, it's true. Very true.
But honestly, I think there's even potential in the Pioneer League because I just feel like because Glacier kind of does that as well, playing off the National Park. Yeah. But I feel like there's at least one other team that's in that general region that could use like Big Sky or Great Sky as the title there because that is Big Sky country out there. And it just feels like there's potential to use something there. But I agree with the sense of when you start going like screaming alpacas and everything like that, after a while, it starts to get larger than itself. And you start to jump the shark on it. Because, I mean, realistically, a lot of like the rebrands we've seen as of late, it is some sort of like, I guess it would be a verb or adjective noun, right? Like screaming, alpaca, dirty, birds. You see that just a lot. So like we did have I just remember we did have the Hagerstown finalists there. And I think a lot of them kind of finished the same way. Yeah, like Diesel, Dogs, Battle, Swans, Flying, Boxcar. Tin Lizard doesn't really count. But then again,
it can bring back that sort of single syllable name if you want to do something cool with that.
Yeah.
Like location moniker. That's an interesting point too. I didn't even think about it from that angle necessarily.
Yeah. But
yeah, now I'm obsessed with looking at this. I gotta stop because I want to see like what would be a cool one. I've always thought like Skyline would be a really cool identifier on a team, but like I don't know which team would fit that. Like my gut is like Ogden kind of, but like also kind of not.
Yeah, true.
Anyway.
But I mean, and honestly, we saw it a little bit during the pandemic with a lot of like those little pop-up leagues too, because I remember like, what was it, like the Skylands Cardinals or something along those lines we saw with like the All-American Baseball Challenge. Real OGs will remember that league.
Lexington could have grabbed Bourbon Trail as their identifier and would have been sick.
Oh, man.
Yep. The Bourbon Trail, whatever. I kicked around the idea of Barrel Boys as the name when they were coming up with the name that eventually settled in as the Genomes. I don't know if that was a good idea or not, but I thought it was interesting.
With like, and this may not work because I understand like rum runners are different, but like part of me is thinking like Bourbon Trail Runners or Bourbon Trail Racers or something.
That's there.
I feel because if you go with racers too, you can kind of sort of play on the horse racing element. But you also kind of get the whole bootlegging thing there too. So, like, I feel like that's the way to go on it.
Yeah, there's a lot of, like, old, like, anyone, like, I'm trying to find the right phrase for it, like, but there's, like, old school sort of, like, gangster phrases that they would use, like, names for, like, people, like, bootlegger. Yeah. But, like, there's a lot of those out there. I'm sure they could have found one. I'm sure a lot of teams could find something that connected if they wanted to, but. Yeah, that talk about not just one, but two rebrands that could have had some potential in Lexington. But again, another conversation for another day.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I think it is an interesting conversation to have though about changing the way the branding goes. It does kind of set apart there. So, it is something there. And I'm trying to think now, like for teams that are based out of like the general, like immediate New York City area, if there was one way or some way to work like Liberty Island or Ellis Island into everything, because I feel like you definitely could work that there. Because even Empire State Grays kind of goes that way. Obviously, that's a different situation, but like you kind of can play into that there. Because I'm sure a Pennsylvania team could pick up like Keystone something.
Yeah, it's true. In fact, I think Reading right now is playing as like the Reading Keystones once a week. That's a whole other thing because Reading's been around for like ever.
Oh my God! If you
that is definitely though the next frontier of names because there's so much you can do with any of this.
Especially marketing and merchandising.
Yep. Or hell, man, if you want to do an alternate identity, that's right there too.
Yeah, true. I mean, that's what I was immediately about to say with Keystone, because what I came to my mind immediately was if you're a Pennsylvania team, you do something like Keystone whatever. You do that as your Thirsty Thursday identity. If you have a deal with Keystone Light, and you have that be the cheap beer of the night.
Oh, that's there.
Yeah. Like you make it like the
all right,
Keystone
30 seconds. 30 second total. I'm going to totally spin it off and then we're going to bring it back relevant fully. I'm going to go so off the topic that doesn't connect to anything.
All right.
In college, I wrote my senior data, not thesis. That sounds far too serious for a business major, but my senior project essentially was, comparing, figuring out why Keystone was so much less successful than Natty when Natty Light, Keystone Light to Natty Light specifically, because they're the same beer, y'all. It's the same beer.
Oh, yeah.
And, I did a blind taste test with 600 people. And, I asked them beforehand, hey, which one do you prefer? And 80% said Natty. And then when it came to which one they prefer in the blind taste test, it was exactly 50-50.
Really?
And, I did it and I sent it. I think we were encouraged to send it to the brands if we worked with the brand, worked on something, including a brand.
Yeah.
And, Keystone sent me a full case of Keystone and said they loved it. I was Keystone's entire issue is just they have a trash reputation, which is hilarious.
See, and the thing is for me,
that's my Keystone story.
For me, I just relate the two brands oh yeah, that's cheap beer you buy in college. That's definitely the kind of beer where especially high school level beer where it's you just give someone $20 and say, just buy whatever you can get the most with. And it's just you get Keystone or Natty. That's what you get.
If you were out in Westchester, Pennsylvania, about 7 years ago and somebody had you do a blind taste test of Keystone and Natty, it was me.
Oh.
So shout out.
I really hope so.
I'd say reach out, but now we're good.
Reach out to me. I'll give you his phone number.
Don't do that.
All right. Well, I guess being that we're done talking about purchasing cheap beers, we can talk about purchasing independent ball contracts. That seems like the next natural progression.
Send it.
And that starts this past week with Ryan McCarthy, Great Falls guy, goes to the White Sox organization. He is a single A player. With Great Falls, he hit .372, .466, .709, 6 home runs, 25 RBIs, 15 walks, 19 strikeouts, 4 stolen bases in 22 games. That is what Ryan McCarthy did. So, decent little player.
It was a hell of a run. That was crazy.
Yeah.
There's not oh, that's Pioneer League inflated. Okay, bring it back down to what normal is. That's still insane. He went off. The average OPS, the league OPS right now is 876. His OPS was a 1.175. Ooh, Lord. That is so ridiculous.
I take it that's good.
Dude, it's so good, man. It's really good.
All right, then. I feel like I need to take that as a soundbite to use from now on. But that's what I need a board for sound bites and stuff.
Oh, we'll get real zany with it, real stereotypical radio show.
Exactly. Anywho, next guy up, Duncan Hewitt. West Side, I believe he was a West Side woolly mammoth. I know he's a USPBL guy. When you look it up, it says Utica, but then when you look in the video, he's wearing a West Side hat. So I assume it's West Side, and they just didn't update anything. He has contract purchased by the Twins. I don't know where he was assigned to. It wasn't available on Thursday when I wrote the notes, and there are no stats available for him. I looked on Baseball Reference. I looked on the USPBL site. I looked up his name. I couldn't find stats, so make of that what you will. I will say on Twitter, very nerdy follow. A lot of comic book stuff.
Really? That's funny. I love that for him.
Although still very, very chill dude. I followed him. I got followed back within 5 minutes, so that was pretty cool. Also, very big into Spider-Man.
Funny? I missed this. I missed the signing happen.
Yeah, I missed one in the USP.
His numbers are not wild. I wonder what the story is there.
Yeah, he's a catcher.
Because I found his numbers.
Right.
Yeah, I mean...
Are his 2022 average numbers, or is it 2023?
2023. Okay. Played 16 games.
Huh.
He went 9 for 46. I mean, hey, not going to hate. Get after it, but I wonder, I bet he went to a tryout and showed out or something. That has to be it. Because I don't. USPBL is a pitcher's league this year, but I don't think anyone's getting signed off that.
Or it could just be they need a catcher.
Hey, man, it's a good position to play if you want to get picked up. That's why I played it. Didn't help me at all because I suck, but that's neither here nor there.
I mean, look at Logan Moore.
Know thyself.
Remember Logan Moore?
Oh, I remember Logan Moore.
He like balled out in High Point, didn't he? I remember he balled out in High Point after being very mid in New Britain. Another team that we've just kind of forgotten existed, New Britain.
Yeah. Womp womp. I saw, I think, one of New Britain's last games.
Oh, yeah?
It was one of the first Atlanta games I ever saw, yeah.
Huh. I have a New Britain hat that I bought from York.
That's sick. I like that.
Yeah.
I always found it funny that York sells other teams' merch.
Oh, yeah, no, I bought 2 hats from them when they were on sale, marking them down. So I got a New Britain hat and a Sugarland hat because I was like, that's the only time I'm ever going to get either one of these.
Yes, that's the time. Uh-oh, I missed this one. Lake Country Hounds tonight for those watching the game on AA Baseball TV. Oh, but that's right there, AA Baseball, not Flow Speed.
I know, yeah. I was going to say, like, at first, I was really tempted to tweet out $30. Wait, and then, like, cut off halfway and go, wait a minute, you're not Flow Sports.
Yeah, if I'm honest, like, I mean, AA Baseball can honestly have some issues. They're reasonably priced. Like, that's so dumb. That's true.
That's the thing. It's like, I still don't love that you're charging me like $15 a month, but at the same time, I can cancel in the off season.
Yep. And they have extra content. Like, they're giving an effort. Like, you can tell they're actively trying.
Exactly. That's the thing. So, like, I can't bitch. Plus, like, did you watch like the Kevin McGovern thing they did?
Yeah, it was very good. That's what I mean. Like, they're thinking outside the box. They're putting the extra effort when they don't have to. Like, it's a good vibe.
Exactly. So I respect that. Plus, I still have the introductory price of $20 for the year. So I'm like, hell yeah. So for $20 for the year, it's worth for me. Actually, that reminds me. That renews in like a couple of days. I got to update my credit card information on that.
Good call.
Yeah. But any case, 2 other guys that got signed. Jesus Lozano, Lancaster. He goes to the Yankees, AA, so he's in Somerset now. Kind of stays in the Atlantic League in a way. Only had 10 innings pitched, but in those 10 innings, he walked 3, struck out 18, and had an ERA below 1. So pretty good.
That'll work.
Yeah, it certainly will. And then, last guy that got signed this week was a guy that honestly should have been signed a long time ago, but finally got taken care of. Carson McCusker from Tri-City Valley Cats got signed by the Twins. Yep. Again, didn't see where he got placed. I did this Thursday night, so he probably has been placed in either high A or AA by now would be my guess, but I don't know for certain. Either way, he hit .433, .480, .822, 17 home runs, 51 RBIs, 15 walks, 27 strikeouts, 2 stolen bases in 37 games.
It's just offensive, really, and he had to be removed for the safety of others.
He did. And quite frankly, it's kind of surprising it took him this long to get picked up because he was just rolling pretty much the whole year.
Is there any better feeling than putting out a tweet about a guy just crushing and then, like, next thing you know, like the next day he gets picked up and you just feel like, yeah, I was on it.
I mean, like, the only thing better than that is being a Lincoln Salt Dog tonight. Did you see what they were doing?
Oh, Swifty night, baby.
Yeah, Swift Dog night. And they set the record for attendance and beat the hell out of Sioux City.
Of course they did, man. It's amazing.
Because everything's possible through Tay. That's why.
God, Queen.
I know, it's just slay. But, you know, like, it's a shame that Todd wasn't involved in this. Because, I mean, like, let's be real. You let him pitch on Taylor Swift night. There's not a chance in the world he's so much as throwing a ball, let alone a hit or a walk. He's just going to be dealing immaculate inning after immaculate inning.
Yeah, Estonia still has a chance to schedule one. I mean, I've seen a few teams announce them, like a few teams announce Taylor Swift nights just over the past couple of weeks. Like, I can't help but think Estonia could still schedule it.
Yeah, I think NOCO did that too.
Yep.
So, I mean, it is possible. I mean, Gastonia, get on it if you want to have a damn good pitching performance and also probably some decent free marketing from your player base. Now is the time to strike.
Right. I fully agree with that.
Yep. Switching gears a little bit, though, to keep things moving and keeping it in the Pioneer League, a league that normally doesn't get talked about, but they're going to get featured heavily this week because our series of the week is Ogden at Missoula. And I was debating between this and then the Milwaukee Fargo series, but I said, you know what? this is going to be a damn good series. And when you look into the stats here, this actually does seem like it's going to be a really fun series between Ogden and Missoula there. It is from July the 6th to July the 8th. First time both teams are going to be playing each other this year. They are just kind of head and shoulders better than everybody else in this league. And they are both in first place in their respective divisions. I don't know if they're both still under the 11 loss mark. Last I knew, Ogden was like 20-10, and Missoula, I think, was 24-8, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
So,
yep, they both won the night, so they're good.
All right. So, yeah, they're all set there. So, I mean, we got two really solid teams here. In the case of Missoula, they have 3 versus Glacier and then 3 versus Billings before they get to the Ogden series. This is going to be a home series for the Paddlehead. So, they are 13-2 when I did these notes on Thursday at home. So, very strong team at home, more or less an average team on the road, but still, they are a top tier team. They are probably the best power team in the league, leading in both home runs and slugging percentage. They've allowed the fewest walks, roughly 3 walks per game they allow there. So a top 3 pitching team by all accounts here. And they have yet to lose this year in their 8 losses by any more than 4 runs. Usually their losses are at most 2 runs. They have a couple of 4-run losses, but by and large, it is a 1 or 2 run loss for Missoula. So a really talented team overall there, up there in Montana with the Paddleheads.
Yeah. I mean, the big attention grabber of late has been Ogden's offense, because entering today, in their last 6 games, they had scored 100 runs. Some of that is just beating up on Idaho Falls, because that's just kind of what you do. Sorry, Idaho Falls. But they're up, 7-6? Is that what we're looking at?
I believe it was
7-6. They haven't won yet tonight. I was looking at yesterday. They did win, but they're 21.
Yeah, 21-10.
21 wins is what I saw. But, I'm just looking. Someone tweeted at me, one of the local guys out there. So I'm checking on that one.
I believe they were up on Idaho Falls, though. I think it was like 6-4 or something like that.
This is just an example. So I've covered this closely. Logan Williams has 5 home runs in the last 4 games, including a grand slam in consecutive nights. His in home run in the 7th gives Ogden the lead. He has 13 RBI in the last game and 3 quarters. So from my perspective, I have noticed him raking, but not like, oh, what's Logan Williams up to? And that's not a statement on anything other than the fact that that's how solid the lineup is. That that kind of faded into the lineup over there.
But but you're got a point there with Ogden. I mean, they've been one of the better hitting teams. I believe they have the best on base percentage in the league too, as well. And this is just a team that's been, hot as of late. 8-2 in their last 10. Or I guess maybe even 9-1 now. 5-game winning streak after winning last night, if I'm not mistaken. So a team that's very good on the road as well. I think 8-4 now on the road. And they are the top pitching team in the league. Missoula is the second best pitching team in the league, although Missoula has gotten picked apart a little bit as of recent. I think they had Cameron Williams and one other guy, if I'm not mistaken, last week got picked up. Timmons, I think, Mark Timmons by the Angels. Yeah. So, they've gotten picked through a little bit here, but this looks like the series where you're having like the best batting team versus the best pitching team, and the second best batting team versus the second best pitching team. So that's really what I'm looking at here, is that both teams are just that solidly well built.
Yeah, man, I'm really excited for this one. I think there's high potential for some. I don't even know. It's so interesting. I think there's going to be 2 man. I'm trying to think what these games will even look like. I feel like it's a very, not stereotypical, uncreative answer, but we'll probably get 1 low scoring game, 1 normal score game, and then 1 that's just the offense has got to get after it at some point. You know what I mean?
See, the one thing I would say about that is I think Missoula has a little bit of the edge here, because being a home team, they have 3 at home versus Glacier, then they go on the road for Billings for 3, but stay in the state of Montana, which I guess for Pioneer League standards is a relatively short trip, so that's not terrible. In the case of Ogden, they're going to be coming off of a lot of road games, at least 5 in a row, but I believe it's closer to 6 to 9 on the road, so they're going to have a lot of road games there that they've been playing here. as well. So, I mean, that's going to take a toll on it too, if for no other reason than Pioneer League travel is just tough. Like Frontier League and American Association aren't easy. You're covering a lot of miles, but it's a bit different when in the Pioneer League, you got to go for a long while for pretty much every road trip. I mean, there's no short road trip like there is in pretty much every other league. You at least have 1 or 2 trips where it's like, okay, it's bad, but it's not that bad. Everything in the Pioneer League is that bad.
Yeah, and I think we talked about it before. It's like that funny thing of you're looking like, oh, okay, it's just across the state, but the state's Montana.
Yeah.
Yeah, like as East Coast people, it's just like it's a bit mind blowing sometimes to see like what the actual drive time is on stuff. They're at Idaho. They got Idaho Falls.
Yeah, and then Glacier.
Then they've got Glacier. And then at least they're staying in Montana. They're going to Missoula, but like Idaho Falls, you think about like, oh, Idaho, Montana, like right there, and Missoula's like just above like the Idaho border. It's a 4.5 hour drive.
Exactly. Like seeing in that time span, you could go from New York to Boston. So it's just kind of crazy there.
Yeah. I mean, even Missoula to Kalispell is also 2 hours. I mean, that's nothing in the big scheme. It's funny you mentioned, I was actually thinking about doing a weekly thing of like the weekly, like the bus trip of the week or something, or like the bus grind of the week. Just for whoever has the worst bus travel that week.
Yeah. So
just a very involved prize.
Oh my God, you call that transit authority?
Ooh, yeah. There you go. I mean, let's talk. And I just settled in like, it's bussin'. And people are like, you suck at this.
At that point, I'm going to have to drive out to Pennsylvania just to go ahead and turn your power off again.
I hate that. Hey, don't get me started on this current situation. Okay. If you caught that, if my audio adjusted at all because Nick has an impossible task, it's because I went on Wi-Fi for the call because we had spotty cell service during the day at my humble abode. And then I promptly lost power. So tough break for Nick.
It's always something with this show. It's always something. We don't go like more than 2 weeks without some sort of tech issue.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, you got your calls working better now? Well, guess what? Okay, to the point. I would say, Idaho Falls has taken the lead back on Ogden.
You know, that kind of brings me to a point, just completely undercut what you're going to say, which is,
go ahead.
Yeah, this series is more interesting to me, more than just 2 really good teams playing each other, is if you look at the schedules for each team, they really haven't faced that much of a challenge, right? Like Missoula had a bit of a rough start to the year, but since then they're like 20-2 or something like that. Crazy number. They're on like a Monarch-esque stretch. Ogden's played a bunch of garbage teams. I hate to say it, but there's just a lot of garbage teams in the Pioneer League this year.
Sure.
So they really haven't had a test yet. Neither team's really had a test yet. I kind of lean more Missoula because they did have some adversity like the first 10 games of the year. Ogden kind of sort of too, I guess. But like from each side here, they're finally playing a really good team. They're playing a team that's on their level here. So maybe it's not the truest of tests. Again, Missoula, a lot less in the way of travel, and Ogden a lot more in the way of travel. But even still, it's just the closest we're going to get, and we're finally going to get a measuring stick series for both teams here. And that's what really intrigues me here. And why I kind of want to lean a little Missoula is, again, I keep going back to travel as the main like dividing point, but that's just because both teams are pretty even in my mind. So it's little things like that really could tilt the scales. But yeah, that's I guess kind of the main reason why I picked this for the series of the week. It's just we have a real measuring stick contest.
Yeah, and you know, Ogden's had some weird moments. They both had weird moments. I mean, Missoula just played 3 against Great Falls. Great Falls is 9-22. They are 15 games behind Missoula in the standings, and they had an even run differential in those 3 games. So, like, what do you know? Yeah. What are we doing with that?
Empire State Gray-esque.
They both have floated their numbers lately based on beating the ever-living hell out of Idaho Falls, which is thoughts and prayers. Yeah. But I don't know. And again, that's a bigger thing on the Pioneer League as well. There's certain teams that seem to have it's a quickly evolving situation out there as the league's reputation changes, and you get more college kids coming out now that they're running out their COVID extension on their college time and all that. And you're finding that certain teams are definitely adapting differently. Certain teams are keeping almost all their players. Certain ones are having a lot more turnover. So we're definitely seeing some teams getting with it immediately versus not. And they have weird things like all of a sudden Rocky Mountain's playing good ball, 5-5 in the last 10. Don't know what do we do with it? Yeah. So it's just really hard to assess sometimes unless teams are playing each other head to head.
Yeah, exactly. So it's odd. And with the Pioneer League too, you have such a variety in talent that it really runs the gamut for things. I feel like they're harder to judge than just about any other league. Just because everybody else, the talent level that you're going to expect is relatively the same. But with the Pioneer League, it's one of the smaller leagues. And it just is, everybody's so different, and recruiting is so much more difficult out there, and you never really know what you're going to get. I mean, like, even just looking across the leaderboard for them, if you look at a guy and you're like, oh, well, he's doing really good. I wonder why he's not being signed. He has like a 3.20 ERA in the Pioneer League through like 6-7 starts, and he's leading the league in strikeouts. What's his deal? Then you click on it, you're like, oh, he's 25. That's probably it.
Yeah, weird stuff happens in this league. Like I'm saying, Rocky Mountain got hot. Idaho Falls, we were just talking about how bad they are, and they're like 11-21. I think they were 9-9 at one point.
I vaguely remember. I remember Colorado or Northern Colorado also being a strong team. Same thing with Grand Junction, and then they just kind of right off the cliff.
Yeah. I don't know. Again, that's why this is a key series, because it's very hard to gauge what's going on. Can't use that transitive property of like, okay, you beat this team and you beat this team, but you won by this many runs. So we can kind of safely assume there's enough like fluctuations, teams kind of get together and fall apart. There's enough inconsistency. There's enough weird series that can have a game affected with weird travel. We want to see it head to head. And once this series is done, they got a week of games and they're back to play each other for 6. So we're going to learn a lot here.
Yeah. I was noticing that too when I was looking at Pioneer League schedules. They seem to be big into like that 6 games at a clip thing.
Yeah, it definitely depends on like what the travel is. Like you don't really see it between the Montana teams, but like it seems to be if you're going, you know what it feels like for the most part is if you're playing a team from their division, you're going to play them for 3 and they're going to play them for 6. There's an exception too, because if I recall, there's some teams that don't play each other at all in this league, which feels like super unacceptable. That's a different conversation.
Yeah, but only like 8 or 10 teams.
That seems to be their preference, which I don't hate. Yeah. I like this occasional 6 game. I don't know if I love 6 game all year.
Yeah,
which we talked about last time. But the more I think on it, the more I kind of like a little variety.
This is everything we talked about with them. And they're going to come up in this section, the hot or not section that we've been saying we're going to get
to. Is that your transition?
Yeah, it's going to be my transition because we're going to talk about some other teams that aren't ranked now. Ogden, 8-2 in the last 10, 4-game winning streak. I think it's 5-game winning streak. It may be down to 0-game winning streak after tonight. We really don't know. But 10 plus runs for in every game this week. 71 runs for in the last 4 and only 21 runs against. If you do math, that's a plus 50 run differential. So they're pretty good. And on the flip side, Northern Colorado is cold, 2-8 in their last 10, 6 losses by 3 runs or less since the 17th, 6 losses by 5 runs or more in June, and a team ERA of 8.87 on the season, which somehow puts them in 3rd from the bottom.
What a garbage fire.
Yeah. If you believe it or not, the lowest ERA starts with a 9.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. I'd look it up, but the very fragile recording setup here does not allow me to do so. That's probably going to conclude Pioneer League talk for the day.
That's fair. They got a good run.
Yeah, it's probably the most Pioneer League talk we've ever done this show, so that's good.
Hey man, I try to bring more chaos.
Exactly. So we'll switch over to the Frontier League. Both of these teams that are in the hot category, of course, lost tonight, so that's not great. But Quebec City is still one of the hotter teams. They would now, I believe, fall for 5-1 in their last 6, which would put them somewhere around 7-3 in the last 10. I don't know the exact numbers because, again, I did all this on Thursday. It's now Saturday morning. Things have happened. Either way,
it's tough.
They're about a game out. They're about a game out of the wild card, and they're like 12-6 since June 11th, and they are nearly at a plus 30 run differential. things got a little bit messed up with tonight's game. I think it was like a 6-1 loss. So that's not great, but still, Quebec's doing pretty good after a pretty mediocre start.
Yeah, I mean, they're right on their tail just a few games back. That's, hey, if you're in that division, that's not what you're looking to see. Yeah. Quebec they're the they're the kind of team where, like, even when they have a slow start, you believe in it.
Yeah.
Like, I was there. At the same time, I was like, ooh, the Saint Rivier's year. I was like, whoa, Quebec. And they had, like, the same record.
Exactly. So, that's the thing.
Maybe it's some bias, but
because
that's a different type of organization.
Exactly.
And that wasn't Trois Rivières shade. That sounded like it. It's not. That's just purely saying, like I said that about a number of teams. But I picked on you because, yeah.
Right.
Though they've been balling out too. I think they were 5-5 in the last 10 entering the day. So,
they're coming around a bit. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing with Quebec is they have a track record of winning. And you can count the amount of bad seasons they've ever had on one hand. And for an organization that's been around for like 25 years, if you're going at like an 80% clip of making the postseason, that's pretty damn impressive. And, it's more than just the organization as a whole, which is extremely well ran. It's also the managers and the staff there. Like TJ White, not Wright. All the Wrights are over in Ottawa, like AJ and Taylor. But TJ White is just a phenomenal player coach because he is raking and apparently doing good as a coach itself. Patrick Scalabrini is just, again, a phenomenal manager. So that's all adding up there. So he
really gets it when it comes to roster building too.
Exactly. So he's able to work with that. Plus there's the advantage of everybody loves Quebec. Like, I cannot find anyone that's had a bad road trip with Quebec. Everybody loves going there. Now, obviously, a road trip's a little bit different than, playing half of your games there. But even still, it's an easier destination to get people to, even though it does require you to be in Canada and it changes up the visa situation a little bit. But regardless of that fact, they're a bit easier to get to. Plus, if I'm not mistaken, they probably lost a few guys to, World Baseball Games or something like that? Because I saw a bunch of guys get put on the inactive list or reserve list because they went to play for their country team. I know it was Kansas City and Winnipeg that got hit hard with that. So I imagine Quebec lost a few guys as well. So they're just keeping it up. And when you really look at their schedule, they have a real opportunity the next 3 weeks where they have some easy opponents on there. It's a lot of Grays. It's a lot of Three Rivers. There's a little bit of Ottawa on there. There's some really mediocre teams where they can really, really take advantage of the next 3 weeks. Because after that, they get hit with like a bunch of New Jersey and Sussex County. And then some Tri-City in there too. And that's obviously going to be a very tough stretch. August is going to be rough on them. No way around that.
Gonna learn a lot.
Exactly. So right now is their time to eat. If they can eat now and they can start to build it up and get themselves to like comfortably in the 3 spot, maybe pushing for the 2 spot, I feel pretty good about them making the postseason. And they're a team where they really didn't have that much turnover where I'm overly concerned about it. And they just have a culture of winning. To the same extent that Schaumburg has that same thing where it's like, oh yeah, if they get in, they're going to be a problem type of thing. Quebec's that same way. So they really have this opportunity.
You're spot on there, man.
Yep. Relevant here because New Jersey's the next team up on the hot category to make
it. They're feeling spicy.
Exactly. Because we can't have this be too easy to follow. So we got to keep it going. 8-2 in their last 10, if I'm not mistaken. I know they got 1 win, then they were losing to Lake Erie. I don't know if they managed to come back, and I think they messed it up tonight. All I know is there was like a thunderous crowd of 60 there tonight, so it's not doing great in New Jersey. But they are like a game up in the division, so league best record.
On a Friday night.
Yep.
But hey,
holiday weekend too.
Let them play baseball.
Holiday weekend.
Bro, it's a bad scene. Yeah, man. Tri-City got them this week. Got them tonight. That's I really hadn't seen that game much. I had my eye on all sorts of stuff and trying not to, skip everything in the dark in my house. Tri-City, man. They scored 1 in the 3rd, 3 in the 4th, and then they were able to make that work. Shutting down Jersey, 1 is impressive. Equally impressive, Jersey's bullpen got together.
Yeah. I'm kind of surprised.
Cole and Witten chucking. Good for them.
Yeah. I mean, they're getting it together. I think they finished June with what, 6 losses, 7 losses?
Oh, something like that. I was in the middle looking that up and decided to go over to the box score instead, which now has presented itself as a bad move by me.
Well, we just need to know
that
they
lost.
Off
my phone here, dude. It's a struggle.
I know. You're multitasking. You're on the call. You're looking stuff up. It's a struggle right now. And you're doing it all in the dark. Now you know how the Amish feel.
My wife about the logistics of power. I don't know.
You should just put that mini nuclear reactor in the basement.
No, I'm dumb as a stump. I got there's 17 or 18 wins in the last 20 games. I think 17 in the last 20 games for the Jackals.
All right, so then either way, they're doing pretty good. But yeah, so it's a situation over there. It's like on the field, everything's going pretty good for them. It's just off the field, it's like, I want you to do better. Because it's just a problem. And I don't want to talk about it too much because I don't want to dogpile.
Yeah, I know. I feel so bad beating up on it. But I mean,
it's just bad.
It's so hard to avoid. It's like, how do you talk about them without talking about it?
Exactly.
Really any more hot and cold teams?
We do have 2 more to go with, and just one last point because I just thought of an idea for them. For the Juneteenth game going forward, what could be a fantastic thing to do, because I know Bobby's big into the market, and you have other guys that are big into the market there that have really tried to go and make Patterson itself work. If you send those guys and then maybe a player or 2 along with them to local, say, middle schools and whatnot, to do some sort of Black history presentation, maybe send them in with some sort of local historian that could really relate the message and make it more local, make it more community based, and then do some sort of a giveaway to get people to the ballpark for the Juneteenth game itself, or a game right around there where you continue to celebrate and do the whole, really build up the culture aspect, build up the community aspect at the ballpark itself, and kind of expand on the actual school visit itself. That may help drive attendance a little bit. And I understand if it's like a promotional game that you have on the schedule, like you shouldn't be having to give away tickets to something like that. Like Memorial Day weekend, you shouldn't have to give away tickets for. But that said, it's still, if you can get a promotional night and have the ballpark mostly full, it helps and it can build with momentum, right? So even just getting the bodies in there is really where the win comes in.
Yeah, I agree. And, I've always been the person that says give away free tickets because they're going to spend money in the park.
It feels like
there's so much to do. I agree. Getting into the community is going to be, if this is going to work, that's the only way it can work, really.
Exactly. So, moving on, we'll go to the last 2 teams. One hot team, one cold team. One from the American, one from the Atlantic. Hot team, I kind of feel bad even putting them on here now because they've really kind of went off the tracks a little bit, but it's the Winnipeg Gold Eyes. They were on a 5-game winning streak when I did this with back-to-back shutouts of Lincoln, and they had 34 runs in those 5 games, and they're at like a plus 23 run differential in that 5-game winning streak. I think they dropped one to Lincoln on Thursday night. They may or may not have won tonight. I don't know for certain. I don't think they did, but I don't know positively, but they were on a little bit of a run. They were playing 500 ball and they got themselves back into a playoff hunt. So I give them credit for that.
Yeah. If I'm honest, I don't even know how I would have felt about the Winnipeg thing. I didn't see, I have such mixed feelings on Winnipeg. I really do feel like it's a team where every time they show any sort of promise, it just then immediately gets kicked in the basket. You're like, okay. But then they get your hopes up again. So I don't know.
Experience.
It really is. I'm just like, damn, dude, I want to have their back. But then if you even go through their schedule, it's even all right, you win some games, you lose some games. 2 against Gary, 3 against Lincoln. That makes sense. But then the fact that before that, they lost 1 to Gary and then 3 to Lincoln. It's
what are we doing? Sure. You lost them.
I feel like almost every episode they could be on the hot or the not one.
Yeah. I mean, I will say one thing though. The whole running laps and running down the line, that's really helped out Travis Seabrook. He threw a hell of a game the other day, but yeah, apparently those boys run.
Dude, he was slaying it, so whatever he's going to be doing, I don't care. That works.
Exactly, yeah. But So, yeah, I agree with you, though, with Winnipeg, where it's like, I feel like as a team, they would be a far better team if they could just get one or two pieces that could really work in supporting roles, because they have like 3 or 4 guys that are genuinely good guys, but you just can't win with only 4 of your 23 guys showing up. So they need like more than like the occasional hot streak from some of these guys. That's really where I get down to. I look at this team, I'm just like, you'll be done in the playoffs fairly early.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
yeah. Any other points on Winnipeg?
I mean, not really, other than the fact that like it's frustrating because you want to be like, oh, they go on hot streaks and cold streaks, but if they're on a hot streak, then you like to think they're going to they have a shot to put it together in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And then, but when you look at it, really, their hot streaks aren't against like playoff competition. Like even their wins against Lincoln were right before they hit that streak that they're on, or they were on at least for a little bit there.
Yeah.
I'm talking about hot or not. So that's kind of what worries me with them. It's just I haven't seen it. I haven't seen them deliver a good 3 to 6 game stretch of beating good competition regularly, and that's I'm not going to be a believer in them until then.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just honestly for me, it's just getting the whole lineup engaged. I think I mentioned that earlier, where it's just there's only a couple guys at a time that really are always on, and then there's only like 1, maybe 2 guys that are kind of feeling it that week, and then overall as a group, it's just not quite there. So
that's a fair statement.
Yeah. So going to the last team, hot or cold, Southern Maryland. They are a cold team. I believe it's now a 6-game losing streak, maybe even a 7-game losing streak for them. I think they are firmly out of any sort of serious hunt for the first half crown. Long Island gaining steam. York trying to fend off Long Island at this point. Last 10 has just been a disaster, really, for Southern Maryland. They've only gotten 29 runs from the 18th to the 28th, and it was 69 nice runs against from the 18th to the 28th there too. So if you're any sort of a mathematician, you can put that together, mean minus 40, and you're not going to win a lot of games with minus 40. Apparently Daryl Thompson also got injured tonight, and they got blasted by the Honey Hunters. I think it was like 15 or 16 to nothing. So that's not going to help the cause either. It looks like the depth of their depth really has kind of run out, and with guys getting picked up, I think it was like 3 or 4 guys a couple weeks back. It's just kind of it looks like the clock struck midnight on the Blue Crabs.
Yeah, the vibes are bad. It's that across the board, really, no matter where you look, it's unfortunately this situation because. So Daryl Thompson tonight goes down on a play at first, non-contact. Sounds like it's his left knee that's the issue. When asked, said whether it'd be fine. He said it should be. So we'll take that as optimistic, hopefully. I'll hesitantly point out, he's not the Daryl of old necessarily. He's got a 5-year ERA so far.
Yeah.
But it kind of compounds on itself because so he ended up having to get bailed out after the injury for 5 1/3 from the pen. They got a doubleheader tomorrow, and then they got a Sunday game. So you got 3 more games in the next day and a half, 2 days against Gastonia. That's not when you want to be short on pitching. It's not stacking up well because and I mentioned specifically because if they want to make any push for a potential playoff spot, it needs to happen immediately, and I don't think the immediate looks very promising for them. Now 4.5 back losers of 6 straight. Yeah, man, that's a bummer. And they got Andres Persino back, and you were like, okay, that could be a thing. He is a bummer that didn't work out for him in minor leagues. He went over affiliated, was dominant to start the year, and then just it didn't really follow through. I think he got called up, and it didn't really work out. So that's a bummer. And then he came back, and he's been getting tagged pretty bad since he got to Southern Maryland in his first couple outings. So hopefully that works out better. But it's just everywhere they turn, it feels like they can't find some solid ground to sort of even, steady themselves on.
Plus, their batting was never a strong suit either for them. They were always relying on that pitching element, and now that that's kind of fallen apart here, it's not going to get any easier, especially when they lose one of their better bats. And what was it, Wylansky getting picked up at the Giants? So that's not going to really help the cause either there. It's really Braxton and Khalil Lee doing most of the heavy lifting on that front, and 2 guys does not make a lineup.
No, and the Hobson pickup in the offseason, like, they didn't have a very strong offense, and that was like their big move. And I think we're all kind of like, we all want him to do well, but it's not really, the lineup anchor that you're looking for.
Exactly. They picked up indie ball Adam Dunn. That's what they did.
Indie ball Adam Dunn, which nothing wrong with that. Love that.
Exactly. Like, I don't mean that to be insulting. It's just like, he's not going to hit for average. He's going to hit 210. He's probably going to hit like close to 20 bombs. That's what he's going to do. And like, that's fine. He still provides offense in his own way. It's just like, he better be coming up with runners on. It's as simple as that.
And that didn't feel like a solution. That was a major red flag at the time. I know there was a major red flag in their projections at the time. And that seems to kind of be coming to fruition, unfortunately. The other concern, too, is, again, always a concern, aging Daryl Thompson, but we tend to push off that concern. Maybe this is starting to be that. No Latos this year. Yeah, it did feel like they had the solution, but then I want to blank on the name for 2 seconds until I can scroll my phone and look the rosters back up. But
I know who you're talking about, too.
Oh, Andre Scrub.
That's it.
Andre Scrub is fantastic to start. And then he got picked.
I was going to say, did he go to Mexico?
Yeah, I believe so. And that will be, that'll do that. Yeah, he's pitching for Mexico and Mexico. Yeah. So that's not what you need for the bullpen. Good for him, but not what you need.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's just, if it could go wrong, it's going wrong for Southern Maryland.
Bad times for the Crabs there, so maybe they could put it together. But yeah, the Daryl Thompson point's the real big thing here, because, every year where it's like, this is the year he's going to fall off, it's like, then he goes and he wins pitcher of the year. So you just kind of assume that he's never going to, but it does kind of, especially to the start of the year, like Father Time's caught up. And it's like...
Yeah, and one of the best things about him is also one of the things you start to worry about. Like, he's been an innings eater for them for years. And there's only so many bullets in the gun. Like, no matter how much you take care of yourself, no matter how much, how well you are, how careful you're being, how well you're handling your training, all that. It's just, there's only so many bullets in the gun. And you're even seeing there's been a couple MLB guys fairly recently who, pitched to their mid-late 30s, and all of a sudden, something goes sprawling in there, and then all of a sudden they need a surgery. And I'm not saying it's that at all. I'm not saying it's injury at all. It's obviously not. The knee thing is completely separate from what's happening. But to the point is, even the best guys, there's a limit out there somewhere. And, if this is it, I think we're all happy if it's not some sort of arm issue that he runs into. If it's just like, hey, he gets to the season and maybe it's not there anymore, then that's okay. I think we're all comfortable if that's what we get from Daryl. We've gotten more than we could have ever asked for watching him.
Exactly. And I'd say he's a member of the 25th anniversary team, but I don't know, because they stopped telling us about that. Although apparently Will Ford's out there. Yeah, it's not just me, right? Like, they stopped announcing that.
Yeah. I wonder what happened there.
Because, the only reason I know this is because the other day I saw Long Island post that Lou Ford got named to the team. They posted a picture of the award, him throwing out the first pitch. And I was like, wait a minute. We haven't gotten a press release since, guy 18. We're still missing 7 guys.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's completely throwing me off right now.
Yeah, they just stopped posting because remember they're like, oh, we're going to have them all named by opening day. Then we got to opening week and it went radio silent.
Oh, this is messing with me right now. Okay, hold on. I'm just doing a quick check through everything real quick to confirm if we've just been missing stuff.
That's the thing.
No, May 19th, the 25th anniversary team is here. Is that just when they did it?
Yeah.
Hold on. Starting May.
Because, I don't remember seeing it.
Did they just, roster dump the whole rest of it?
I don't know, because I don't remember seeing anything else.
I'm sorry, I know this is a really weird, bit of podcast, but, this is
something I meant to bring up earlier when you still had power, and, I didn't really remember it until just now when we were talking about Daryl Thompson's career, and I was like, well, Lou Ford is not going to fall victim to this. If he was going to, he would have already. And I was like, wait, I saw Lou Ford with the 25th anniversary thing the other day. Wait, I haven't done anything with that in a while.
Yeah, the last one I'm seeing is John Hunton on April 14th. That's
exactly.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 13, 14. I'm trying to see how many they announced. 15.
If you go to my 16. Twitter, I should have the whole team listed out.
I got 16.
Okay. Yeah, I know if you look up Silver Anniversary on my actual Twitter, there should be the full roster I listed out with positions. And I think it was about 17. I don't know the exact number, but I think it was around 17 because I was like, oh, well, maybe they'll do one a day leading up to opening day. And then they didn't do that. And I was like, okay.
Do we all have to start tweeting at them? I demand justice.
Like, that's the thing. Like, there's like 6 guys here that are about to get screwed.
Yeah, right? Here's my thought. I'm like, is it possible there was someone on there that all of a sudden, like, it wasn't what you wanted to do was announce them for something, but then it like threw a wrench into things, but then you could just change them out. You don't need to be in there. I'm trying to think what could have happened. Exactly. Other than just like typical, like, we were congratulating them on the follow through. Man, we jumped the gun.
I know. And the thing is too, we sung their praises for this thing. We were like, this is a really great idea. I really like that they're doing it. It really honors it. This is great. And then they dropped the ball.
Damn. Come on, Langley. Help me help you. Exactly. So frustrating. We were just talking about how it feels like they don't like the fact that we said something. But it's like, but it's because look.
Yeah. It's like being a parent and constantly having to go pick your kid up from the police station for possession. It's like, dude, why do you keep smoking your weed in the park? Why are you doing this?
I said it before, I think it was even the preseason when I was like really skeptical of what was happening with Lexington's organization.
Yeah.
And I think it came back to, if you have this pattern of behavior, like, it's not that we don't trust you because we don't like you. It's because we don't trust you because you have a pattern of like lying. And it's not lying necessarily, but it is like, you know, if you keep getting burned by the same thing, you touch it. Like, you're more hesitant to touch it even when it seems like it's cool. Like, I don't know. Yeah, and I say that, like, it feels a lot like the Jersey conversation, the Jackals thing of, like, you know, we're talking about the embarrassing thing you don't want to acknowledge because, like, we think it's important you acknowledge it and then move on, like, so that you can address it properly.
Exactly. Every time it's like an intervention.
Yeah, in so many ways.
Yeah. It's like, I need to lock you in this room and not allow you to leave until you fix your behavior.
Yeah, man. Remind me not to invite you to an intervention.
Well, that's good. I don't want to go.
I'm bringing a gun. Anyway.
Only one of us is walking out of here.
Oh, God. So, man, I didn't expect that. Know who's not hot? The Langley. That's it. That's who's not hot. Is the amount of times that we're not criticizing or talking bad because we want to and jump on dog piles because we really genuinely want it to be better. And my God, guys.
God damn, this is like the Moltisanti intervention from The Sopranos. They're weak, they're out of control, and they become an embarrassment to themselves and everything else.
What an aggressively Jersey reference from him.
I know. I'm going to keep this is like the third one on this show alone. It started with Elvis Country and it's just gone from there. So, Crystal Ball segment for the week. There's some that are inspired here. There are some that are rather uninspired city, but still, Gastonia is going to win the South. That's my prediction there. At the time I was writing this, they were a game up. I think they're now 2 games up. They got 4 against Southern Maryland, which is now 3 against Southern Maryland, 3 against Inspired City, and 1 versus High Point. I gotta be honest, from everything we've said about Southern Maryland, the not so great Ghost Town team that they got there, and a High Point team that by the time they get Gastonia again, they ain't gonna be within a game. I feel like it's a pretty safe bet to say Gastonia's winning the South.
Yeah, I agree. I think I think it's probably about 70 to 75%, and that's just what the stats say. I think realistically it's a bit higher.
Yeah. Honestly, it was the game 2 was the turning point. If High Point could have taken 2 or 3, I would maybe be saying right now, like, I don't know, only like a game back. They're not going to lose another game to York. They're going to take York, and, as long as they keep pace, it's all fine and good. But yeah, at this point, I don't see it happening. Gastoni's just in the driver's seat. So
yeah, I agree. And it would require a bit of a collapse from Gastoni. And they just aren't very collapse prone. I don't think their schedule is sort of based on teams that can sort of force a collapse or even take full advantage.
Remember, Honey Hunter fans, if they collapse this week, you know who to blame.
Gotta be your boy.
See, as long as you own it, it's okay. Second crystal ball here. Empire State gets to 12 wins before Missoula gets to 10 losses.
No.
No?
No.
I believe in Missoula.
Missoula's already a little bit sketchy.
They only have 8 losses here. I believe Empire State can get 3 wins before Missoula gets 2 losses.
What did Empire State do that? Because they were close. They put Quebec to a 2-0 game last night.
Yeah, and then they lost, I think, 6-3 to New Sussex County.
They keep it close, but yeah, I don't have faith in it. I think
I don't know who they're playing, so I can't really say. Apart. But like, if they have the right matchup, I think they could steal 1 or 2, and then they just need to get 1 more in there. So, like I said, I don't expect this to be resolved this week because I don't expect Missoula to lose 2 games this week, and I don't expect Empire State to win 3 this week. But I have faith, not in the Grays, but in Missoula. Come on, Missoula.
Which is weird because you're technically rooting against them, if I'm following correctly.
Well, no, not necessarily.
Or are you rooting?
I'm rooting for Missoula to keep winning, so that way they don't get to 10 losses.
Okay. Oh, okay.
I think Missoula's going to win so long that during their winning streak, Empire State's going to find a way to win 3 games.
See, that's my issue right now. Is I'm like simultaneously telling you like I think Missoula will lose those games, while also being like, but boy, the Grays are bad. Like, I can't even parse those 2 thoughts in my head right now. It's going to do a check here. I'm just trying to see if there's any silver linings on the calendar right now. I mean, they just need 1, right? Empire State just needs 1.
Well, how many? Wait, what's Empire State's win total right now? Because I thought they were at 9.
9. They're at 9.
So they need to get 3 wins because I said 12 wins.
Oh, you said 12. That's right. I double digits in my head.
Yeah. See, if I would have said 10, I don't think that's that gutsy because I really think they could steal 1 game before Missoula loses 2. Because keep in mind, Missoula's got an easy schedule this week until they get to Ogden.
Yeah.
And even Ogden's coming off of long travel.
Yeah, man. I'm trying to figure out what Empire State's schedule is moving forward. I'm just doing a quick pull up on that one just to see if there's any wins on the calendar. Because then, oh man, that's so difficult. It's so difficult to keep those wins coming. Damn, this is really going from you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you nailed this one.
I'm telling you, like, I'm good in these segments. There's some thought provokers.
Completely insane to me that you just broke my brain with this question.
Every week this is going to happen.
So they got Sussex for 3, Tri-City, Quebec,
they could be
Gateway. That's not optimistic, my guy.
Counterpoint though, they seem to always beat Tri-City. They get wins at Tri-City.
They do. They really do.
And they played Quebec close. Keep in mind, even on one of your daily roundups on the Indie Ball Nation YouTube channel, you pointed out they almost got the rained out game. They were coming back, and then the rain killed them.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I appreciate the shout out too. Nicely done.
Casually inserted too, might I add. But
I have to think
if they take 2 from Tri-City, which is not impossible, and they take 1 from Quebec, which is certainly possible, that's the 3. And if they do all that before the Ogden series, it's there.
All right. I'm feeling pretty decisive at this point. I don't see Empire State winning I don't see them winning a series. So I think it's going to take them at least 9 games to hit 12 wins. Missoula is currently sitting at how many losses again?
I believe 8.
Oh, shoot, they got to lose 4? Well, they're going to lose 4 and 9.
And they only have to lose 2.
Oh, man. I was feeling so decisive. I even announced I was decisive. And then this one fully sideways on it.
Don't worry, Stark in your house, so it's okay.
It is so dark. We're in the middle of nowhere. It's creepy as hell.
You're figuratively and literally in the dark.
What's the over-under on us getting some damn power here?
We didn't have that in a prop, but I'm going to say 4.5 hours.
Dude, I have, I think it's a transformer, and we have MedEd, which is notoriously bad. I think it will be at least 12 hours because it's got to be an equipment change.
Oh God, this is a joke.
Shout out to the fact that I worked for a utility company for 3 months. That happened.
A very
all right. Resume. So they've got Grand Rapids, Billings. I'm not overly impressed with. Okay, what are the losses on the Missoula schedule? I think Empire State winning is too random almost. It just needs to be them having a good day and LG having a bad day. I think it takes them 9 to 12 games to get that win. Those 3 wins. So looking at the next 12-ish games for Missoula, I think they lose at least 1 to Ogden. They just pulled out against Grand Rapids. I think they lose 1 to Billings. Not Grand Rapids. Glacier. Every time I see GR, I want to go Grand Rapids.
I was like, why is there a team in Michigan?
Is that some old AHL trauma in my brain? Because I think it's Grand Rapids and Great Falls. I keep trying to switch, but
I just like how Danny DeKaiser is giving you war flashbacks.
You gotta figure they lose. Oh man, one of those first 3 to. I think Missoula reaches 12 losses before.
Again, they just have to reach 10 losses.
That's why I had 10 in my head. Dude, this is the worst episode. Because usually, so a little behind the scenes, because I know I tend to drift thought-wise, because I get caught up in schedules or there's a lot of looking things up while we talk. Yeah. I will write down if there's a key point that I need to remember to answer something, I'll write it down, and I do it in a Google sheet. So I am screwed. I can't write down in a notepad. It is dark. I'm sitting in the dark. My only light is my phone, which is currently scrolling a Paddlehead schedule.
And you can't even use candlelight because with your luck, you'll knock into something, and then boom, then you'll have too much light.
This is such a bad vibe for me. I am completely. Okay, I think Missoula definitely reaches 10. Missoula reaching 10 is what happens first.
Okay, all right. Well, good thing that was just a crystal ball, not a prop.
Quickly, if I had actually caught that, come on, man, that's bad by me.
Oh God! Well, then this one's definitely going to mess you up here because the third and final crystal ball, because the American Association announces their all-star team on Monday. I'm saying that there will be more Railcats and Chicago Dogs going to the all-star game than there will be Monarchs and Dockhounds.
What's your logic?
My logic is that I don't see any more than maybe 1 Dockhound going, and I think the Railcats are going to have a surprisingly large amount, and I think the Dogs are good for 3 or 4. So I'm thinking there's going to be probably about 6 between the Cats and the Dogs, and I don't think the Monarchs are sending more than 4 or 5. So I think there is a decent enough chance there. Because, and for the sole reason, the only good Dockhounds have already had their contracts purchased.
That's a fair point.
Meanwhile, with Chicago, keep in mind, Botcher's probably going, Palm's probably going, Altman's probably going. We're probably good for another surprise one, probably a reliever of some sort. On the Railcats end of things, you're going to have a couple guys. Diaz is probably going to be one. I'm going to imagine Mariaga's probably another one. There may be a pitcher in there as well. So figure if you're getting 3 and 4, that's 7. So I'm thinking there's something possible there. Also keep in mind the Doghounds are in the same division as the Railcats and the Dogs are. So that's going to limit their numbers as well. And Milwaukee's in that division too. Milwaukee's hosting. They're probably going to have a disproportionate amount of players there, seeing as they're already there, and that makes it a lot easier to keep them there.
Lake Country's also local though.
True. Fair point, but they suck.
Among what I perceive to be qualified batters, Gary does not have anyone in the top 37 in OPS. It's not great.
Well, see, that's why we got to look at real stats like batting average.
I hate that you just said that.
Oh, God. I really don't know how you as an analytic person get around in this community, because pretty much every coach I talk to goes, yeah, I don't like analytics. I ignore them.
Yeah, man. I got to find my niche. That's kind of the thing. I mean, I currently don't work with the team, so there's a reason, huh?
Yeah, and the worst part is most of the coaches that say that too are like the nicest guys. They're just like, yeah, I ignore that shit.
Yeah, man.
I'm just like, dude, I don't know how you managed to manage like 3 different teams, but I also kind of understand why you've managed 3 different teams.
Mm-hmm.
But like, you keep getting hired, so.
And to that point, I mean, most of the guys are right. It's like, I think in indie ball, it's almost impossible to build your team off of analytics. It's just so hard to get into good granular data on guys you don't already have at this level. But you kind of have to go off of feel and like putting together the right personalities and guys who are down for like it's an opportunity. It's not a punishment to be in indie ball. And then, but the way you handle those guys, that's where the analytics should come in. And I don't know, man. Bunting is good, but if you're still bunting in certain situations, you need to be kicked in the head. Anyway.
I'm just saying, look at how it worked out for the Monarchs tonight.
And that was good. I like that. But there's certain ones where you're just like, that's not when you should be giving out. I don't know what we're doing here.
I look forward to the Huntington vibes coming to you soon.
Yeah, I don't even have an answer. I can't follow the team combinations and who's making it from where. I guess my prediction is I don't think Gary gets a lot of action on players getting in. I think Lake Country might have more than you expect simply on the local factor.
Rare. Chicago's also not that far either, though. Chicago to Milwaukee.
True, and I do think Chicago could have. It was pretty bad lately, though. It's so funny. What was that?
Yeah, but they have had some good individual performances, though.
Mm-hmm. And they only have one pitcher below a 4 ERA, so it's going to kind of limit that side of things.
Yeah, but batting-wise, though, they're guaranteed at least 2 batters with Altman and Botcher.
You're right. Botcher's disgusting. Lidge is great.
Yeah. Plus, catchers are hard to come by.
What was that?
Plus, he's a catcher, too. That helps him.
Yeah, I mean, Herman's going to be
one of them, no doubt. But
Morales, but you figure you bring 3 catchers.
Yeah. Plus, isn't Herman on the other division?
Yeah, right. That's right. And I forget, because I think of it when I put together my All-Star team, I do 1 league, so I forget, too. They're also going to split by division, so that's a great point.
Yeah.
Damn, dude. I'm not gonna be able to give you an answer here, and that's bad content. But hey, I don't have any internet, so that's how life's gonna go.
All right. Well, we'll find out on Monday if I was right or wrong. So
yeah, man, I'm excited for this. Yeah. I'm excited for All-Star season, man. It gives us a little bit something new to completely disagree about.
Exactly. See, we actually have conflict content, which is always wonderful. But
fantastic.
So going to the final thing, props. Normally we do 2, but because it's 4th of July weekend, I tossed in an extra one because celebration. Why not?
That's great.
We're going to keep with the All-Star theme for the first one, which is there will be 4.5 Red Hawks on the All-Star roster, over or under on it.
Oh, shoot.
I figure Grauer's probably good. Mm-hmm. There's probably a batter or 2 on that team as well. Not really the names you'd expect, though. Like, not a Leo Pena, who has not had a great year. But
yeah, I'm also...
But like an Evan Alexander probably makes it.
Fair. So, I mean, I think you said 4.5.
Yeah, 4.5. So it would have to be 5 for the over.
Well, how many All-Stars are they doing? 25?
I'd assume
20, 25. I mean, that's so the average team in a division is going to pull. Math is hard, but 4 players. So really, are they going to be above average? It's Fargo. It has to be.
Yeah. So taking the over.
Yeah, absolutely.
See, because of everything else in the crystal ball one, I'm taking the under because that whole situation has messed with me. So I'm taking the under to be safe. However, if it's over, I'm not going to be shocked in the least bit. So
Prime has to make it.
Fair point. The Ohtani of indie ball's got to be in there. So
Casey Dykstra, this is so irrelevant, but talking to 2-way players, Casey Dykstra and a Pioneer last night.
Yeah.
I think he had like a pair of ribbies. Might have had a homer. I don't think he had a homer. He had a pair of RBI though. Pitched like I think 2 scoreless in like a clutch situation to get it to extras, and then lost in the knockout round pitching. I was like, bro,
that's brutal.
Did everything and still couldn't get it up.
Speaking of the Pioneer League, that brings us to the second prop.
Let's go.
Ogden ends the week with 13.5 losses, over or under.
Ooh.
I believe they're at 11 as we sit right now.
Yeah. Let me check it. Yep, they're at 11. And they end at 13.5. So if they're going to lose 3 this week, is what we're saying, which would put them, that's a 500 week.
Yeah.
Ooh. Okay.
See, and it's Idaho Falls and Glacier before Missoula. See,
okay. I don't think they dropped another to Idaho Falls.
Yeah, so that's probably safe on that front. Glacier's the tricky one.
I think they...
Do they sweep Glacier's the question.
That is a good question. Jeez.
I don't think they do. I don't think they do. I think that...
No, so they drop 1, so it then becomes, do they think... Ooh, man. I think they lose. I think they lose 3 this week.
Yeah. I'm going the over. I'm taking the over. I feel safer with that because, like I said, that's a lot of bussing.
And here's the thing. Yeah, Ogden, if you lose 3 this week, it's not a bad week.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That's one of the most brutal weeks you're going to have on your schedule. If you get out at 500, all right.
Yeah.
Sure. You're up 3 in the standings right now.
Plus, then they have a long homestand after that, too. So that's going to be where you're making up those 500 games.
Make that. Yep.
And you're going to have your opportunity to go at Missoula again in like 2 weeks. So.
They're hitting the ball at home. So they get back in that comfort zone. They'll be all right.
Exactly. Yeah. So we both agree on the over. So
yep.
Last one here. And this is a 4th of July special.
Woo.
4.5 4th of July celebrations for the weekend. So this is going to be your Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We'll even give you the Monday, Tuesday on it. We'll go the full weekend on it. Games. So July 1 through July 4. I actually have it written down here. So I guess it's just Saturday through Tuesday games. Will have their firework or post-game celebration postponed. See, that's 4.5 across the core 4 leagues: Pioneer, Atlantic, American, and Frontier.
All the nights total, too?
Yeah.
Oh.
4.5.
Yeah. Yeah, because all it takes is 1. Oh, well, the weather has cleared up. It was kind of crappy for a while there.
That's the thing. I could see the problem here is I'm not even that concerned about the rain, although a little bit of rain could definitely keep a game on but ruin the fireworks.
Yes.
What gets me, though, is, and I've seen about this because the smoke has made the air quality shitty again. If it's really dry out, especially out west, are they going to let them shoot off fireworks in possible wildfire conditions?
You know what? Maybe not, but I'm just going to tell you it's going to be more than 4.5. I'm looking at the weather for the week.
Yeah.
I mean, Sunday, all day, everything east of Illinois is pretty much in rain.
All right. Now,
though, how many 4th of July celebrations are there on Sunday? That's actually the right day for it.
Yeah.
Though Monday also looks rainy. So,
but then again, you can always have it on the 4th itself.
Yeah, and the 4th looks pretty cleared. Other than North Carolina, sorry. We're looking at Monday and Sunday overnight. It's bad. Saturday night is the question mark. But is that a 4th of July? That's a gray area. You gave it to me, though. So I'm going to say I think we're going to see a bunch of them have issues tomorrow.
All right. So you're going to take the over on it. Comfortably taking the over.
Yeah. And I mean, the fire thing, it'll be fine. There's smoke already.
See, the real winners here are the ones that do the drones instead.
Yeah, the Phillies had a great one, apparently, tonight. Like Bradford celebrating a World Series. It's sick. So, yeah, man, they're figuring that one out, which is cool.
Yeah.
More places are doing, like, the light shows, too, because they have, like, the LED lights, and that's cool. We got a smoke effect now. So, look at me being a silver lining guy.
Yeah, so, good news is we have reached the end of the line. We have 2 hours in on this show. I'm going to have to hack the living shit out of this down.
Really sorry about that. That's on me. We've been talking for like 3.5 hours. That's my fault.
Yeah, actually we have been. I think this started like about 10 o'clock.
Yeah, so, my bad, dude.
No, it's all good. I mean, you can't control when the power goes out, so that's all fine and good. We probably battled through the most adversity we have in quite some time on this show. So, I guess doing some plugs and then getting out of here is good. I'll let the guy in the dark go first, so that way when his phone dies, I can finish this with ease.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Indie Ball Nation, YouTube, since I've been on here more frequently, it's freed me up to do some daily recaps, which I think is good because it kind of fills in the finer details between what we talk about, which is good. You can also get me on Twitter for the dumbest of baseball fun facts constantly, and Instagram for screenshots of those dumb fun facts. Other than that, keep an eye out because Nick and I are kicking around the idea of doing some fun / stupid content sort of occasionally and possibly even this weekend involving the YouTube channels. So definitely keep an eye on that because, I mean, that is a far more controlled environment than whatever this was. And for that, again, I apologize.
I'll see when it's uncontrolled and off the rails, it's even more fun. And that's the thing that I like the most about the daily recaps is that you never know exactly what you're going to get in them because sometimes the lighting's really nice. Other times you show up wearing glasses. Sometimes the lighting just covers half your face and you look like the Phantom of the Opera. So you really never know what you're going to get. And that appeals to me on a lot of different levels.
Yo, man, it's been so funny because like this is our first year in this house.
Yeah.
So like every morning the light is slightly different because that's how the world works. But it is news to me. And as I'm doing videos at different times a day, I'm just like, it's a battle. And we're learning lessons and I'm forgetting them by the time that we fix it again. And luckily, it's only on other people's shows I seem to lose power. But yeah, it's been an adventure every single day. But, you know, that's a nice thing about doing the daily videos is it's a more laid back, chilled out vibe. So if it shows up a little janky sometimes, that's okay.
Yeah, which I just want to point out, during that small intermission that we had to take during recording, I saw like a Podbean notification. It's like, what the hell is this for? And I saw Indie Ball Nation, new episode. I was like, what the hell? In the middle of the show?
Yeah, man. I'm so out of the habit. Like, I even posted the one to YouTube and then just completely drew a blank on posting it to Podbean. So, like, there was just like a gap in it, too. Yeah. It has not been my week very decidedly, but I'm glad we can make this happen at whatever hour and with whatever number of interruptions. And for anyone who hung in, man, thanks. Appreciate it. And hope we delivered something.
I'm sure we did. And if you want to find more of it, Indie Ball Report on Instagram, indieballreport.com, Indie Ball Pod on Twitter. There's stuff on all of them. You could check all that out. And yeah, Indie Ball Report, pretty much wherever you find podcasts, tune in. I would say Stitcher, but they're shutting Stitcher down, so that's really going to mess with my end cap. So thanks a lot, Stitcher. But Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Podbean, you know, they're a good hosting site, so props to them. And the only thing, and it's weird, I have not had to do anything to add in a month, but there is one thing I want to point out here, and this is again to the fellow running the Railcats Talk podcast. I think his name's Kyle. I don't know for certain, but I think it's Kyle. I don't know what posting site you use, man, but like if we could go ahead and get on something other than Spotify or Apple Podcasts would really help me out because I'm rocking an Android here and I hate listening to podcasts on Spotify. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's just not what I do. If we get onto Google Podcasts, it would really help me out because then I could keep everything in one spot. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just saying, you know, more platforms, more listens, it'd be helpful, and I would appreciate it personally. But, you know,
from the advice from your local neighborhood indie ball pod.
I know, and personally, I know whenever I've recorded, I've managed to keep the power on the whole time, so that's a positive here. So I know what I'm talking about.
Wonder what that's like.
It's pretty nice. Although I will say, it does get awfully hot in the room I'm recording because the door's got to get shut and the vent's kind of blocked by a bed. So, and I can't put the fan on because then you hear the fan while it's recording. It's a problem. So it just gets really hot in here. Luckily, it has not been that hot outside yet. So we haven't had to deal with it being like 95 outside trying to record and me literally sweating while I'm doing this and hearing my laptop want to die as it's put up top on like those Coke bottle lids. Has like my little stand on it. So I don't really know what's going to happen here, but I think I know what I'm doing.
I mean, at least you're not sitting in the dark.
Exactly. And just like that, don't forget to play ball.